Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So guys, today I came across this tweet by Sunny SoCal. That's at DevNullinator. That's the Twitter handle. And it's regarding the Swift release 2019 and its technological advancements. Swift release 2019, not so fast. This is pretty damning for GPI. Banks skipped updates over the years. And so I thought about it, and there was, about a month ago, I had done some more research on Swift and Swift's monopoly. And coincidentally enough, they were actually from the same websites. These blog posts were from a site called FinExtra. And I just kind of wanted to read them because they're very thought-provoking when you actually listen to the history and really understand where Swift has come from and where they've made mistakes. You can really see why the company Ripple will be taking their place, in my opinion, in the not so distant future. So I just kind of wanted to read both of these articles to you guys. I'm going to treat this video as a little bit of a podcast. I'm just going to read it to you. You can sit back, enjoy your commute. If you're driving on the train, there's nothing going to be terribly visual in this video, just going to be reading the articles to you. And I might periodically stop to talk about something that strikes me. So this first article, is Swift running fast into a monopoly? This article was from November 2009, so almost 10 years ago now. And the author here was Gary Wright, an analyst at BISS Research. Let me just read it for you here. The news that Swift has been organizing meetings between payment banks and several large corporates in their La Hulpe offices could be seen as great news by many hoping for streamlining in the Eurozone payments area. However, does it conceal the real worries that we should be concerned with? Guys, you got to remember this is from 2009, okay? Swift, as we all know, is a cooperative organization owned by its many users, mainly banks. It often describes itself as non-profit making, as it returns some of its revenues in rebates to its customers. Non-profit does not mean that it does not make money. Swift makes huge amounts of money, considering it has no competition. The rebates are based on a pro rata formula of number of messages over the network. So in fact, the banks get rewarded for more messages going over the Swift network, a network the banks own. If that arrangement is at least cloudy in its monopolistic picture, the fact that Swift is also the agent for ISO, International Standards Organization, to control standard messaging development and usage should give concern to all. In effect, Swift is running both favorite horses in the same race. Also, it can be a judge deciding the length of the race and the handicap of the horses running. The monopolistic position Swift is in is not news to many people in the financial markets, who I have worked with over the years, but something they accept with a shrug and have to work with. It's almost sacrilege in the standards and banking world to talk about Swift with the word monopoly in the same sentence. Fear abounds in the industry that derives income from the very existence of Swift and the desire to maintain the cash cow. You guys got to remember, this is from 2009. Now that Ripple has stepped into the scene, I think the picture looks much different, but let me continue here. The current push by Swift for its corporates to join the network using ISO 20022 and its XML structure to enable a lower cost and presumably a more attractive position to send messages over Swift. However, ISO 20022 can be sent over any network. The idea should be to allow corporates to send ISO 20022 over their network of choice, and Swift should simply be one of the networks. This current situation could be resolved by a number of changes. Firstly, Swift could relinquish its agent role with ISO, as surely this role should be with a totally independent body, not someone running a network. Secondly, why doesn't Swift create a group with all commercial network providers working towards an agreement of interoperability? Guys, they were talking about interoperability in 2009, and they were already questioning why Swift isn't doing this. Swift could join up the network interests of BT and all other European providers, AT&T, and all other US providers, and so on around the world. All could agree to carry the ISO 20022 from their corporates into the Swift banking network. Thirdly, sell Swift into the market and make it a commercial supplier. Ages ago, this would have been a time to talk about security. However, surely in the 21st century, we are less concerned as network security has reached a plateau of acceptance, especially given that any network has some risk, but there are many ways to tackle security. Even SWIFT allows the USA security organizations to view transactions over its network. In today's world, security is an ongoing battle and one that is not solved by the operation of a closed network. And then he goes on to say, now I may have stirred up a bit of a hornet's nest with raising this taboo subject, but it's time in financial services we all evaluated the industry structure from top to toe, and SWIFT should not be sacrosanct from close security and question. Again, this guy was going against the grain in 2009, questioning SWIFT. As he says in his piece here, nobody dare use SWIFT and monopoly in the same sentence. Now fast forward to this tweet that I found just yesterday here. In this article from FinExtra, just released about 8 hours ago. This is regarding SWIFT and technological progressions over the years. Now SWIFT release 2018's done. Are you ready for SWIFT release 2019? For the first time in many years, SWIFT's MT standards release for 2018 incorporated a number of significant changes for banks' trade finance operations. For many banks, it presented a real test of how they had planned and implemented their trade finance technology solutions for incorporating updates in a more and more demanding marketplace. In many cases, the development and implementation projects for SR 2018 for trade and finance have taken 18 to 24 months at a staggering cost of some 2 to 5 million euros per bank. With further significant changes on the horizon this year as banks prepare to implement SWIFT's 2019 release, that's SR 2019, it's essential that lessons are learnt. The main reason for these high costs to cover SR 2018 for trade finance is that many banks have been grappling with updating non-standard source code within their trade finance IT solutions. Having implemented package trading finance software from vendors several years ago, many banks then customize the source code to tailor the solutions to their own specific requirements, often country by country. This approach created headaches down the line, with banks realizing it was often too difficult, costly, and risky to carry out upgrade projects. Having skipped many upgrades and releases from vendors over the years and effectively working with software solutions that had become 6 to 10 years out of date, many banks face a real challenge in meeting the mandatory requirements set out by SWIFT for Trade Finance 2018. I've heard stories from the banking world about the scale of the projects and challenges they've faced to get the SWIFT release 2018 up and running. In fact, many banks have had to implement manual operations and workarounds and are still struggling to handle the changes and new items in the SWIFT messages that came into effect on November 18th, 2018. One workaround I've been told about including printing the outgoing SWIFT messages so the manual registration can be done using SWIFT Alliance. Another involves creating SWIFT messages in the old format necessary for legacy trade financial solutions that can't yet support the new formats, and converting these into SWIFT MT77 free format messages to send to other banks. Once received, these SWIFT messages have to be handled manually, resulting in a lot of extra work for all involved parties. It sounds like an SHIT show down there. For those banks already handling the changes and new items, this is an unnecessary headache, and they need to evaluate whether to charge the banks sending the free format messages for the extra manual work created. SWIFT is the de facto standard for communication in trade finance operations, and banks must upgrade their trade finance technology solutions to ensure they can continue to support and exchange messages with their trade finance counterparts. But the impact also goes far beyond SWIFT messages. Complex business logic has to be implemented and changes made to other interfaces, outputs, and portal systems. So more changes on the horizon. The scale of the problem banks have been facing in handling the SR 2018 upgrade is reflected by the fact that SWIFT recently shared details of a fast-track change request asking that the planned changes for its FIN Category 7 messaging for SR 2019 be postponed till 2020. The change request has been sent by SWIFT to the banks for comment and voting, with a decision expected in early February 2019. The fact that many banks have been struggling to incorporate the mandatory SWIFT deadlines in their trade finance software is a real concern. The pace of change is not going to slow down. In fact, the need for change to incorporate new developments will only get faster. Banks must be prepared for meeting future demands like the ISO 20022 standard for trade finance, for integrating blockchain solutions, and for improving the overall user experience. Well, if Ripple can't solve those problems, I don't know who can. All right, I'm getting a little excited here. So what are the lessons to be learned? I've blogged previously about why can't updates to banking software be as easy as the way Tesla applies software updates, allowing you to simply plug in and go. The answer to the problem is relatively simple. Banks should implement a flexible, adaptable, and functionally rich trade finance IT solution designed and developed as a global package, and where the provider can commit to maintaining and supporting one single global source code. Ripple. Such an approach paves the way for automatic testing systems and automatic upgrade systems, which in turn allow upgrades to be rolled out as often as required, be that annually, monthly, or even weekly. Implementing such a flexible global trade finance IT solution that replaces disjointed legacy and hard-coded bespoke systems is a fundamental step in helping banks prepare and adapt to future challenges. Advantages, to name a few, include the ease with which updates can be rolled out, consistency and standardization across a bank's global operations, a central repository for all information, and significantly reduced costs of ownership over the long term. As a result, global upgrades and swift updates can be rolled out more or less automatically and with no impact on the day-to-day operations of the business. Now, wouldn't that make life simpler? And they actually write that there at the bottom. So guys, as we can see, updates haven't been made by Swift. They have taken the approach of, well, we are a monopoly, this works well enough, and as the years went on, inefficiencies started to mount. Banks are getting frustrated, and yet their hands are tied. There was no other option because of the monopoly Swift held. And so now enter Ripple, who with their superior technology could fundamentally process all of Swift's business much easier on the blockchain, much more efficiently, and of course, I'm sure banks would report spectacular results. Anyways, guys, just wanted to read that for you. Some really interesting insight on how Ripple is going to eat Swift's lunch. But I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.